and to think about the value that verse teaches us, and to come together and share different insights about what the verse is all about. And we had that meeting earlier today, and I found it quite fruitful and quite interesting. And in the middle of our conversation, I had a new insight about it. So I'm super excited, based on what you all have said, to go in that direction tonight. And I'll tell you. So I'm also studying a piece in the Talmud, and the piece says, the piece talks about, it quotes a verse that talks about a threefold cord that is hard to break. A threefold cord is hard to break, or doesn't break easily. And this word threefold, it was a new Hebrew construction for me. I'd never seen that construction before, although I used it before, but it never really occurred to me what it actually meant. And I've been thinking a lot about that idea that threes are very strong, and they form, right? You need three sides to make the first two-dimensional figure, right? You need three sides to make a triangle. And triangles are strong, and they're interesting, and they've got really profound qualities. And so I was thinking a lot about that. And as I was thinking about, in our discussion earlier today, v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I was thinking about the two ways that I've really understood it, which is the line understands that you have to love yourself, right? You will love your neighbor as you love yourself. That's what it says, like as literally as you can get. You will love your neighbor as you love yourself, as yourself. So you have to love yourself in order to love your neighbor. Or if you don't love yourself very well, that's how you're going to treat your neighbor. So I've thought about that. I've also thought about the idea that you need to treat your neighbor with, I mean, the obvious way that it usually is taught is you should treat your neighbor with respect, with kindness, with generosity, right? Like it's all about how you treat your neighbor. So it's how you treat yourself and how you treat your neighbor. Those are the two strands that I've always considered. And for some reason today, the third strand finally hit me. And the third strand is, you could read the line, v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, and you will love yourself like your neighbor loves you. And it struck me for the first time that yes, that felt true. It's a little bit of you have to kind of squeeze that line and pretzel it a little bit to get all of that to work, but because of the way that Hebrew works, you could do it that way. And I thought, that is really true. It's a three, that, if you've got those, if that's the threefold cord, you love yourself, you love your neighbor, and you receive the love of your neighbor. If you can create that cycling of having a deep well of love that you extend out and then let be replenished, I do believe that's a threefold cord that would be hard to break. And I think I've been thinking so much about the work of this activist. Her name is Kai Tom, Thom, and how when there's a lack of love, of that flow, of fullness of self, generosity to others, and a reciprocity to what's coming to you, openness to letting the love in, that something quite profound happens. And I think we're in a period of time, as many of you have noted, when we have a little bit different perspective on the world around us, on the place we live, on the people around us, on what brings us joy, how we fill our wells, whether it's sitting out in the garden, creating a space for meditation, finding a way to move our bodies so that we feel, fluid, spending time with our neighbors over the fence or people on Zoom or however we're able to do it, and to let that love be reflected in, I think, is a powerful, powerful place to let ourselves strengthen, to imagine it as a threefold chord. Love self, love other, let others love us. In whatever funky, monkey, bunky state we're in. And one of the hardest pieces, and I doesn't surprise me that I was 61 years old before I went, oh, oh, the third piece is letting others love me. Wait a minute. That's the hardest piece. And so I want us to, I'm going to lead us in with a little chant that I'm going to put up I'm putting it up in the chat right now. The words are Hareini v'kabel alai et mitzvah habore ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha l'reacha kamocha. Behold, I am ready to receive upon myself the mitzvah, the sacred obligation, the sacred task given to me by the Creator to love my neighbor as myself. To love myself so I can love my neighbor, and to love myself like my neighbor loves me. So we'll chant this, and then I want us to just take about 20 minutes of silence to work our hearts on those three chords. Maybe imagine those three chords and braid them. Maybe imagine that one is thick and one is thin, and how are you going to worsted that thinner one so that it's strong? How can you twine those together in your life? Where is it easiest for you to accept love? Who is it easiest for you to love? What part of yourself is it natural for you to love? And how to strengthen those strands so that there's strength there when you need to do work on yourself, or when you need to confront someone with a challenge out of love, or when you find yourself resisting that love, and how to break yourself open and let it in. Does that all make pretty reasonable sense? Yeah? Okay, great. So we'll start with the little chant. We'll do it maybe 3 times, and then we'll go into silence, and then I'll bring you back out with the chant in about 20 minutes. So get a little comfy. Hareini mekabel alai et mitzvat habore ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha l'reacha kamocha. Hareini vekabel alai et mitzvat habore ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha l'reacha kamocha. Hareini mekabel alai et mitzvat habore ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha l'reacha kamocha.